I heard this quote today: security is an illusion. Think of security as giving you time before an inevitable breach. It was a comment more than a quote made by someone who I guess works in security. But I'd been looking at privacy coins and sort of reestablishing what my relationship with security is. And it's interesting that this person I was listening to who was speaking about security called it an illusion. And so I've been thinking about how we perceive things like privacy and security. What makes us feel secure? What things, support our sense of privacy? Closed bathroom door, for example. Locking the doors at night, maybe. If we're walking down a neighborhood that we aren't familiar with, maybe we clutch our purse a little bit closer. There's all these things we do, these like habits, belief systems, assumptions, and so on and so forth. And it's such an interesting time we live in right now, because if you're in, the tech world, if you have an interest or if you work in it, you're seeing what I'm seeing, which is a total spike in the level and the quality of scams. The scam emails I get now are incredible. Like, they used to be, even 2 or 3 years ago, they used to be like riddled with spelling errors, and it would look really sketchy. So you'd obviously know it was spam. But now they're really, really good. They're even designed really well. And I suppose because I work in the tech space, I tend to be a target, and I get to get I end up getting a lot of these emails, and a lot of people I know and I work with get them too. And it's interesting to see an increase in frequency and an increase in quality of all of these scams. And I was annoyed about it for a while, just because the frequency is intense over email. I get way more phone calls now than I ever have before. But it's also, when I actually got to think about it, it's also not that surprising. Desperate, unprecedented times. There's so much, perceived or actual lived instability for many people. And, we often forget we live in our own little world, our own houses and apartments. We have a comfort zone, maybe, but, a lot of people who are perhaps involved in these scams aren't in this environment. Maybe they're in different neighborhoods, maybe they're in different countries. So, I absolutely get it. But the question was more around, what now? How do we then work through this illusion of security? Is privacy an illusion as well? And I was talking to someone a few days ago about how I'm getting a little bit more interested in privacy coins in the crypto space. So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, these ones are awesome. There are definitely the more popular ones, but there's a few really good privacy coins, and they are, coded in a way that you cannot trace or track the journey of a coin. It's simply not possible, because they use a different type of technology framework. And so I've been, interested in this more and more. So I've been learning about it. So I was telling someone, and their question was, well, why do you care? You don't have anything to hide. It's interesting that I don't think this way, but it's almost like we have this naive idea of what privacy and security are. And if you are someone who has maybe experienced a privacy or a security breach, your email was hacked, your bank account was hacked, your house was broken into, how incredibly violating that feels. It brings up understandable amounts of insecurity. You sort of spend the next few days kind of mistrusting the world, and it's really, really awkward, and it's a really unpleasant place. But here's the thing. Those threats existed even before whatever breach occurred with you, like to you in that moment. It's simply that we kind of live in this denial, or we remain ignorant of it, or we tell ourselves this stuff only happens in movies, it only happens to other people, and we sort of happily walk along in our day. But the thing is now, especially in the now times, I think our denial or our deference of this is actually going to hurt us a lot more. And maybe it's because these are unprecedented times. Maybe it's because everything just feels volatile and shaky. And, you know, here's the thing, like, I love people. I love the earth. And I do. I'm not someone who, you know, hates people and shies away from them. But I also know that when people are in desperate situations, they may make desperate decisions. And maybe that will impact me adversely. So privacy and security for me then become this way of, you know, not separating myself from other people, but giving me a little bit more, what would give me more sense of peace? What would help me acknowledge the reality of the situation, acknowledge the world exactly as it is? It's like, you know, when you're really surprised that like there's thieves in the world, or like that murders happen. Like, I mean, you know, our relationship to it for the most part is, you know, perhaps through the Netflix show we're watching. Most of us walk around in our day and we do not know murderers and thieves. I certainly don't. And so we have this like, you know, fiction sort of relationship to it. Oh, this stuff only happens in the movies. But, you know, it does exist in the world. And so especially around scams and privacy and protecting your wealth, just like you protect your house or your car or your children. Like, to me, protecting your digital identity, your choices that are represented in the digital world, that's as important. So if you think about it this way, data, your personal data, all the information about you, where you went on holiday last month, what you ate, your favorite restaurant, what therapist you go to, the address of your children's school, you know, that you like where you buy groceries, where you get your car gassed up, all that information, you know, like right now, I suppose your bank might know about it because they have all those transactions, and that's all fine. And if, you know, maybe that's not creepy to you because, you know, your bank's always known this, that's great. But the value of data now, especially these days, is in the exchange of it. So, you know, if there was a breach, or if whatever, you know, some organization got sold this data by your bank or by Google, who knows everything, would you still feel the same level of safe? You don't know who it's sold to. You have no idea what the intention of use is. You know, it's like the family that, you know, happily goes on vacation in Mexico, and everyone's taking these pictures and posting them on Instagram and on Facebook, and they come back home to a ransacked house because everyone they knew, including whoever robbed them, knew that they wouldn't be home for the 2 weeks because people post everything. The consciousness we generally have with our digital presence is really naive. And my desire and my invitation, and this is certainly something I'm doing personally over the next few weeks, is to start being more mindful about where I am maybe naive, where I feel like I'm not really educated, like I don't know what to do, and find some ways, find some solutions to really get very intentional and clear with what my sense of privacy and security are in the virtual world. So I'm not someone who, you know, pays for a credit card with a credit card at a cafe and leaves my credit card just, you know, on the table while I chill and talk to my friends and go to the washroom. Like, it's back in my wallet. I'm sure for most people that's what they do. So if you don't leave your credit card out in a public space, in a shop or in a cafe, think of how many times you don't even enter your credit card information online because of Google Pay and whatnot, and how fast that happens, but you clicked on a website or a link because you got an email and it ended up being a scam website. That happens to thousands of people. And so again, we all think we're super smart and like no one's going to guess our awesome password because it, you know, it has an exclamation point instead of a one. But the people whose job it is to break in and steal or whatever, for whatever reason, they're really good at this. And they're possibly getting a lot better. And now it's, you know, mostly automated. So these are bots running it at the speed at which bots learn. So I really believe that this is a call for each and every one of us to really anchor into what feels right, safe, private, and allows us to really view our digital presence with as much care as we would our bodies and our homes. So this piece around, you know, privacy, security, these illusions that we have, it's really time to look at some of those base assumptions, because it is so important to accept the world exactly as it is. We can be hurt, we can wish it were better, all of this other stuff, but true change occurs when you witness and observe the world as it is, love it and have healthy boundaries of self that honor yourself, your family, your wealth, your choices, all of this stuff in the physical space and in the virtual space. Things are rough and hard in the world for many, many people, and maybe you're one of them and maybe you're not one of them, but my invitation today is to hold the perception that you are part of a much larger world that is going through a great amount of tumultuous activity in every area of life, right? Finance, politics, environment, money systems, government systems. And so while the world is stitched together very closely in the virtual space, it can make us more vulnerable for sure. But you know, it's again, like if your house was just broken into, the day after is when you get this awesome security system. We do not need to wait for that to happen. We can choose to look at what our perceptions are, where perhaps we have illusions, where perhaps we believe, oh, this isn't going to happen. Because if you think this isn't going to happen, it might, you know, if there's a show or a movie on it, maybe it happened to someone somewhere. So let it not be you. I will include some links at the end of this or below this video, and they are around security, privacy coins, what I mentioned earlier on. I really like this channel called Crypto Vigilante, and they talk about the technicality and the actual, you know, the process of privacy coins and why they believe it's important. So it's a great learning and education video if you're interested. And the other one I'll put is around different ways to think about security and things you can do. It's from a channel called ITM Trading. It's a great resource as well. So I'll put those up if you want to do any of your own further research. The purpose of this video is not to create fear. It is simply to offer that the world is what it is right now. And the way forward is to be aware as we can be, is to learn with as open a heart and clear a mind as we can, so that we can make conscious, inspired choices about our physical life as well as the virtual one. Have a great day.